Hi, this is Pam from Woodcamper Crafts, where all of my crochet patterns are inspired by nature. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the evergreen coffee cozy. This is a great pattern to make for yourself so you don't have to use the disposable sleeves, but it's a really quick and easy pattern, so it also makes a great present. In this video I'm using Lion brand Wool Ease yarn, which is a medium weight yarn. You will also need a 4mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, darning needle, and scissors. I will also post the free pattern on my website, which is woodcampercrafts.com. So we're starting with a simple slip knot. I'm using the gray yarn, which is our main color, and I'm going to take my 4mm hook inserted here and just pull tight. So we're starting by chaining 7. So yarn over and pull through. That's a chain 1, yarn over and pull through. Chain 2, yarn over and pull through 3, 4, 5, 6, and our last one here is 7. We're starting in the second chain, so there's the first chain and there's the second chain. So insert your hook into the second chain. And then we're just doing a single crochet. So yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both loops to complete your single crochet. And then we're going to continue on here. We're doing 6 single crochets in total. So there's our second one. And you can use stitch markers if you want, but because we're only doing 6 stitches per row, it's a lot easier if you just count. So there's our third single crochet, but we will be using the stitch markers later on. And there's our fourth single crochet. And 5. And our final single crochet in the row is going to be 6. So we finished the first row, and this is what it looks like. We've got 6 single crochets in total. At the end of every row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. We're ready to start row 2. We're doing a single crochet in the first stitch in the row, and we're working under both loops. So insert your hook under both loops, and then yarn over, and we're just doing a single crochet. Pull through the stitch. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops to complete your single crochet. So in the next 4 stitches, we are doing single crochets, but we're working in the back loop only. So look at it from the top. Find your back loop, so insert your hook under that back loop only. And then we're doing a single crochet, yarn over and pull through the back loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops to complete the single crochet in the back loop only. So we're doing this 3 more times. So insert your hook under the back loop, and then you're just doing a single crochet. So that's our second single crochet in the back loop only. So once again, insert your hook under the back loop and just do a single crochet. So that's our third, and we're going to do 1 more in the back loop only. So insert your hook under that back loop and just do a single crochet. So we've done 5 stitches, and we're going to do our final one, which makes 6, but this time we're working under both loops. So insert your hook under both loops, and you're just doing a single crochet. And then at the end of every row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. So we're doing the same thing here. So starting row 3, you're doing a single crochet in the first stitch in the row, followed by a single crochet in the back loop, working in the next 4 stitches, and then the final stitch in the row is also a single crochet. So we're doing the same thing. We're doing this for rows 2 to 31. So you know how to do this now. You can work on this on your own, and I will meet you back here when you're done row 31, and I'll show you how to join it together. We've finished our 31 rows and we're ready to join our band together. So we're going to line up that final row with your original chain. And then we're just going to join it with a slip stitch. So insert your hook under both loops from the last row and then just that single loop from the original chain. And then we are going to just yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to complete your first slip stitch. So we're doing this 6 times in total. So insert your hook under both loops from the final row and then just 1 loop from your original chain, and you're doing a slip stitch. So there's our second one under both loops here, and then just 1 loop from your original chain. So there's 3. And just keep going all the way along here until you've done 6 in total. We finished our 6 slip stitches and we're just going to turn our band here so the right side is facing us. So in the next section here, we're going to be following this graph. If you are new to color work, which is working with more than one color, and to reading graphs, check out my website. Under my Learning tab, I have a really quick, easy read all about color work and how to read crochet graphs. This is our graph. The graph is read from top to bottom, and because we're working in the round, we're reading it from right to left. Each square is 1 single crochet. You can see in the first row, we are working 31 single crochets. The white represents our main color, which is gray, and then the tree is going to be green. So in row 1, we are doing 31 single crochets in gray. In row 1, we're placing a single crochet at the top of every row from our band. So the top of this row here, and then the top of this row here. You can see it looks like we have ridges and valleys. So at the top of the ridge, and then at the top of the valley, and then at the top of the ridge. So let's get started here. We're going to start by chaining 1. And then we're placing a single crochet at the top of that ridge there. And now we are going to pause here a moment, grab our stitch marker, and place it on the first stitch in the row. And then we're going to continue on. So find that valley there and place a single crochet at the top. And now we're going to place a single crochet at the top of that ridge. And then we're going to place a single crochet at the top of the valley. So don't get too concerned about how many loops you're under. Just find the top and then insert your hook wherever you can find a space to put it. So I'm going to let you work on this on your own. You're doing 31 single crochets in total, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're at the end of the row. I was just going to do the last stitch with you. You can see it's at the top of one of the ridges. So that's our final single crochet. So we have 31 in the row now. And now we're ready to start row 2. We're ready to start row 2. We're doing 14 single crochets in gray, followed by 3 single crochets in green, and then another 14 single crochets in gray. You can see these arrows here are pointing to the stitch before you change your color, because that's where the color change starts. And I'll show you how to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to do a single crochet in that first stitch. And then I'm going to just grab my stitch marker and put it back on that first stitch in the row. So as I mentioned, we're doing 14 single crochets, but I'm going to let you do the first 13 on your own, and then I'll meet you back here and we will do the 14th together. And that's because we're going to change our color. So I'm going to show you how to do the color change. So just remember, you're going to do 13 single crochets, and I'll meet you back here and we'll do the 14th single crochet together. So I'm ready to do my 14th single crochet. So I'm inserting my hook, yarn over, and pulling through. So we have 2 loops on the hook. Then I'm going to take this yarn and I'm just going to move it off to the side and get it out of the way. And then I'm going to take my green and I'm going to just yarn over with the green and pull it through. So what we're doing is we're setting it up so we're all ready to start our new color. But this 14th stitch is still going to be gray. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the yarn from behind and just pull it to make sure it's nice and tight, and then I'm going to hold it there. So now I'm ready to start the next stitch here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually grab that gray yarn and I'm going to carry it along here. So I'm going to hold it just against the back of the stitches there, and I'm going to carry it and work it into my work. So what I'm going to do is I'm now doing my 3 green stitches. So insert your hook, make sure the gray is over top of your hook, and we're going to be carrying that yarn. Now I'm doing a single crochet with my new color. So yarn over with your green and pull through. You have 2 green loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops to complete your first single crochet in your new color green. So now we're doing another green single crochet. Insert your hook, but make sure you're catching that yarn that we're carrying, and then yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. So this is going to be our last single crochet in green, but once again we need to set up to move back to our gray color. So insert your hook, make sure you're carrying that yarn so it's just over your hook, yarn over with the green and pull through so you have 2 green loops on your hook. Now what you're going to do is you're going to drop the green, just move it off to the side, and we're going to continue on with our gray. So yarn over with the gray and pull through. So now we're set up to do the next stitch in gray. Once again, just pull that tight from behind there. And now we're going to continue on. We're doing 14 single crochets in gray. So just yarn over, and we're not carrying the green. We've dropped the green yarn. We're going to leave it there. We're going to grab it when we come back around and do the tree again. We are not carrying the green yarn. We're only working with our gray now. And we're doing 14 single crochets in total. I'll let you do this on your own, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. We're ready to start row 3. You can see row 2, 3, and 4 are all the same. But in row 3 and 4, we're carrying both the green and the gray yarn. So I'll work on row 3 with you and show you how to carry both colors, and then you can work on row 4 on your own. We're doing 14 single crochets in gray, followed by 3 single crochets in green, and then another 14 single crochets in gray. You can see these arrows here are pointing to the stitch before you change your color, because that's where the color change starts. And I'll show you how to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to do a single crochet in that first stitch. And then I'm going to just grab my stitch marker and put it back on that first stitch in the row. So as I mentioned, we're doing 14 single crochets, but I'm going to let you do the first 13 on your own, and then I'll meet you back here and we will do the 14th together. And that's because we're going to change our color. So I'm going to show you how to do the color change. So just remember, you're going to do 13 single crochets, and I'll meet you back here and we'll do the 14th single crochet together. Insert your hook into the 14th stitch, yarn over with your gray, and pull through. Now we're setting up our color change. Take your gray yarn and get it out of the way, and then grab your green, which you can see is further over to the left, and pull through. Because it's further to the left and you're pulling through to the right, you're going to have this green strand behind you. You have to make sure it's nice and loose because you're going to be carrying it. And you're going to be carrying that along with your gray strand. So grab your gray strand that you're also carrying and just line it up behind. Now insert your hook into the next stitch. And remember, we're carrying that green strand that we had to pull back over to the right, plus our gray strand. Yarn over with our new color and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops to complete your single crochet. Now insert your hook into the next stitch. Remember, you're carrying that gray and green strand. Yarn over with your green and pull through, and yarn over to complete your single crochet. So this last stitch here, remember, we're going to have to set up our color change. So insert your hook, and when you get here, you're really only carrying that gray strand. So yarn over with the green. Now we have to set up the color change. So take the green, move it off to the right. Grab the gray strand, yarn over, and pull through to set up that color change. Now we're ready to start our new color. So insert your hook, yarn over with the gray, pull through, and complete your single crochet. So you're doing 14 gray single crochets in total. I'll let you work on this on your own, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. We're ready to start row 4. Row 4 is the same as rows 2 and 3. Because we've already done this together, I'll let you work on this on your own. And once you're done row 4, I'll meet you back here and we can work on row 5 together. Now that you've finished row 4 on your own, we'll work on row 5 together. We're doing 9 single crochets in gray, followed by 13 single crochets in green, and then again 9 single crochets in gray. Just remember, the color change starts before you actually change the color. So in stitch 9 and in stitch 22. Let's get started. Start by removing the stitch marker in the first stitch in the row. And we're going to do a single crochet. And then I'm going to grab my stitch marker again and put it back on that first stitch in the row. So remember, we're doing 9 single crochets in gray, but we need to set up our color change in the 9th stitch. So I'll let you do 8 single crochets in gray on your own, and I'll meet you back here and we'll do the 9th stitch together. We're ready to do the 9th stitch and set up our color change. Insert your hook and yarn over with the gray, and then take your gray and put it off to the side. Grab your green all the way over here on the left-hand side and pull it all the way across to the right, yarn over and pull through. You can see because you had to pull your green all the way from the left there that you're going to need to make sure it's nice and loose so that it just lies flat behind your stitches and you can carry that green yarn. Grab the gray, which we're also going to carry, and line it up behind your stitches. We're carrying both the green and gray yarn until you can't carry the green any longer, and then we're just carrying the gray yarn. Insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over with your new color, make sure you're carrying the green and gray yarn, and complete your first single crochet in green. Insert your hook into the next stitch, make sure to catch the green and gray yarn, yarn over with your green, and complete your next single crochet. Insert your hook into the next stitch, make sure to catch the green and gray yarn that you're carrying, yarn over with your green, and complete your single crochet. So you're going to do this all the way along. You'll see you get to a point when you can no longer carry the green yarn. So you're just going to be carrying the gray yarn. So you can see here I have one more stitch where I'm carrying that green yarn. But now I've run out of the green yarn to carry, so I'm just carrying the gray yarn. I'm going to keep working along here, doing my single crochets in green, carrying that gray yarn until I've done 13 single crochets in green. But just remember, in the 13th stitch, which is actually the 22nd in the row, I'm going to be changing from the green back to the gray. So I'll let you work on this on your own, and I'll meet you back here, and we will work on the last green stitch together and do our color change. So this will be my last green stitch. It's also the stitch where I'm going to do my color change. It's the 13th green stitch or the 22nd stitch in the row. So take your green and just put it off to the right hand side here. And now grab your gray yarn that you've been carrying and pull through to complete your single crochet. So I'm not going to carry any yarn. I'm just going to continue working with my gray yarn. And we're going to do 9 single crochets in the gray. And I'll let you work on this on your own, and I will meet you at the end of the row. We're now ready to start row 6, but since you know how to read this graph now, you know how to change color and carry your yarn, you can work on the rest of this graph on your own. Just remember, when you're doing the color changes, you always start your color change in the stitch before. And in row 16, you're just doing a row of single crochets using the gray. Once you've completed row 16, I will meet you back here and I'll show you how to do the band. We've completed row 16 and we're ready to start our band. Because we have an uneven number of stitches in our row, 31, we're going to start with a slip stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through all the loops on your hook to complete your slip stitch. Now we're going to start by chaining 7. So yarn over and pull through. Let's chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our final chain is 7. We're ready to start row 1. Working in the second chain, so there's your first, and there's the second chain from the hook. We're doing single crochets in the next 6. So there's 1. And we are going to pause here and place a stitch marker. If you haven't done this technique before, where you're doing ribbing at the end of your project, I definitely recommend using the stitch markers until you get the hang of it. So we're going to place a stitch marker on the first stitch here. And then we're going to keep going. We're doing single crochets. We're doing 6 in total. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our final single crochet in the row is going to be 6. And I'm going to pause here. I'm going to grab another stitch marker and put it on the final single crochet in the row. If you don't want to use a stitch marker on the first stitch, you don't have to. But even I use a stitch marker on that final stitch in the row, and you'll see why in a minute. So working along the top here, you can see we just came out of that stitch. So we're working in the next stitch here, and we're going to do 2 slip stitches. So there's our first slip stitch and our second slip stitch, just working along the top of row 16. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're starting row 2, so you can see there's our chain. That was a slip stitch, the other slip stitch, and that was the final stitch in the row. So we're going to skip those first 2 slip stitches, and then we're starting in the stitch indicated by the stitch marker here, which was the final stitch from your previous row. And we're doing a single crochet working in the back loop only. So insert your hook into the back loop, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through both loops. And as I said before, I highly recommend that you use stitch markers. You'd put it on that first stitch in the row. And then I'm going to keep going, working in the back loop only. I'm doing single crochets in the next 5. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're doing one more single crochet in the row, but we're going to be working under both loops. So we're going to take off the stitch marker, and in the final stitch in the row, we're doing a single crochet working under both loops. And we're at the end of the row, so we are going to chain 1 and turn. We're ready to start row 3. We're doing a single crochet working under both loops in the first stitch. And if you're using stitch markers, you can put it on that first stitch in the row. And now in the next 5, we're doing single crochets, but working under that back loop only. So insert your hook under the back loop, yarn over and pull through the back loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. So there's our first single crochet in the back loop, and that's our second single crochet in the back loop, three, four, and 5, but you have a total of 6 stitches in the row. And once again, I highly recommend that you place a stitch marker on that final stitch in the row. So just right there. And you can see, if you hold up your work here, you can see the stitch that we already worked in. So we are not working in that stitch. You are doing a slip stitch in the next stitch here. So there's your first slip stitch. And then our second slip stitch. And then we chain 1 and turn. We're ready to start row 4. There's our chain and a slip stitch and our other slip stitch that we're skipping. So there's the first stitch we're working in, and we're working in the back loop only. So that's how to count if you're not using stitch markers. But I highly recommend you use stitch markers. So there's our first single crochet in the back loop, our second single crochet in the back loop, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our final stitch in the row, we're doing a single crochet working under both loops. So 6. And we're at the end of the row, so we are going to chain 1 and turn. Now that you know how to add the ribbing, you just repeat rows 3 and 4 until you get to the end. If you need a little extra help, you can either rewind this video or I have a great tutorial on my YouTube channel. I'm ready to join my band. I've turned my work inside out. I'm going to line up the original chain with the final row. I'm going to insert my hook, and because my loop's on the wrong side, I'm just going to pull it through. And now I'm ready to start. So insert your hook under that loop from the original chain. And then insert your hook under both loops from the final row. And we're doing a slip stitch, yarn over and pull through all the loops to complete the slip stitch. So we're going to continue doing that. We're going to do 6 in total. So insert your hook under that single loop from the original chain and both loops from your final row, and a slip stitch to join. So you can just keep working that on your own, and you're doing 6 in total. I've finished joining my band. I've cut the end of my yarn, and I'm going to just pull the yarn through that final loop and then just pull tight to knot. I'm now ready to weave in my ends. You can see I've pulled my needle through 5 or 6 stitches here in one direction, and I'm going to pull the yarn through And then I'm going to go back in the opposite direction, skipping that first loop that the yarn just came out of and going back through under those same stitches here, just in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to pull my yarn through and I'm done weaving in my end. And I'll let you weave in your other ends on your own. I just wanted to thank everyone for watching. I really love making these videos for everyone. And you know, it really helps me out if you did enjoy this video, if you could just hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe to my channel.